the size of his fleet makes more sense, right?
Yeah, but
what doesn't make sense is the 214 on order.
On order, right?
Yeah, like here's like, I know why they allow you to have like such huge fleets, and that's because the game would be pretty fucking boring if you weren't allowed to, right? Because there's not enough management aspects of anything else, other than just, throw planes down range, and things don't move quick enough. So I understand, right? But at the same time, when a motherfucker has 600 planes in his fleet, that's a bit too many.
Yeah, but doesn't Delta have or American or whatever have 900?
No, Delta. The biggest operator in the U.S. with planes is FedEx. It's 740. Justin! I will poke you, you motherfucker.
Probably busy being, electrocuted by lightning.
He'll be fine. Because I want to build this airline thing. Kind of bad now.
What?
I want to build the airline management game real bad. I got a disease.
The only cure is more cowbell.
There's more airline games. Wait. 2 more minutes. I don't see this. Yoshi? Hi.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fine. What's up?
Yeah? Alright. How are we gonna build this airline game?
Bro, I'm telling you, that's me every time I play that game. I'm like, I could do this better. I have better ideas, or at least ways that
Let's
would make
do
it
it then.
better.
Let's do it. We gotta figure out a coding language.
I think Unity is gonna be the best way to go. So here's my thing. I think Unity is the best way to go, but I do user interfaces in Unity very well, but because here's the thing. I want it to be single player first. I want it to be a good single player game that can have multiplayer. Right? Like a sort of thing where it's a phenomenal single player game, and then you can almost do like a co-op career thing where it's like you're playing against the AI still, but you and your friends can, you know, each play or whatever. I want it to be a very good like standalone game, so it needs to be able to run like it needs to be able to run like on your computer, because I need to be able to like time accelerate and stuff. It can't be tied to just a server that automatically updates stuff every 5 minutes, because that makes me want to pull my hair out.
Obviously.
So it needs to be something that runs on your computer locally with time, acceleration capabilities.
Okay, this doesn't necessarily have to be built in Unity, right? Because you're not doing any physics with it, right?
No, but you're just gonna get a lot of.
And it's gonna just basically be a UI, isn't it?
I mean, it's gonna be an entire backend and a game loop and all this stuff, and that's where it gets. That's where it gets to the point where like you want to use an engine, because like, yeah, like I could build this entire game in JavaScript. It would just end up becoming unmanageable and an absolutely.
Well, I'm not
disgusting
necessarily
mess.
saying that you should create this whatever in JavaScript, right? There's other languages I'm saying that you could do that are
Well,
not.
I'm saying we need to use a game engine,
Okay.
because a game engine's going to come with all the stuff already built in. It's going to come with
The bells and whistles.
error logging. It's going to already have a game loop that you just attach scripts to that run. So I mean,
Okay.
writing it in Unity, C#, very straightforward, very forgiving language, very, the code portion isn't the issue. I've already built out that little concept, sort of. Kind of stopped because the main thing that stopped me was just not understanding how to use the UI, and that's kind of where I've been at a stopping point.
What do you mean the UI? What do you mean by the UI?
Like literally building the UI and making it function, and like making it look nice. It's like I can make it look nice in like in JavaScript with CSS and stuff. I haven't figured out exactly how to do it nice in Unity, and that's the main thing that's kind of keeping me from doing that. I don't know. That's not. No, it's gonna have to have a user interface.
Okay, so Unity is up here. What would you call this kind of a game? It's not a menu game, but like
a manage. It's Tycoon Manager-esque. Look, here's the most recent idea I had for it. So literally build a UI that looks almost like this, like a pixel art kind of thing.
All right, you see these right here?
This would make it a lot easier. Whatever happened to my Discord? What? know how... You know how you can, like, control click to zoom in on a browser? My Discord just let me do that, and I can't undo it now. Hang on.
Wait, what?
Hang
That's
on a
weird.
second. It's still zoomed in. Why is it still zoomed in? What did I do? Cause I was trying to zoom in. There. Okay.
So Justin,
I'm aware of that. I thought about that as well.
What?
I don't want to have to code a fucking game loop, and that's where I'm at. Like, I've tried it before in my life. I've tried building a game outside of a game engine, and I can tell you it is not something you want to do. Because
When you're talking about like a game loop, wouldn't you just put the whole game inside of a for loop essentially?
That's a dramatic oversimplification. No.
Here's the thing, my guy. The problem that you're trying to solve right now, you're first having, right, is don't try and perfect it to start with.
Cordell, I don't have the. It's been too long since I looked into this, but I just stop.
I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
We will stop after a week and be like, this is the stupidest fucking thing we've ever done. It doesn't work.
Okay.
Because you make the game loop, and then you have to have all these other things that are always talking to the game loop, and then just the game loop has to call an update. You have to write a game engine that calls the update function in every single component. And that is a nasty task. Then you got to have all this error handling, and you got to make sure it's stable. It's an entire mess. You upload a script into Unity with an update function, and it gets called every frame. Done. You do not want to build a game engine. I've looked into it.
Well, I'm trying to figure out if there's do you know if there's an Electron-based game engine creation?
I don't know. I think Unity's fine. I just need to learn how to build the UI elements.
No, I'm simply just asking.
I think Unity's the place to build it.
Okay.
Did you see what I was streaming before I died?
No. A little bit, but I didn't get a whole like look at it.
This is literally all I managed to make. It's just like this kind of theme. So I could have like little drop downs.
Yep.
And so it would essentially work kind of like, you'd have a fleet manager up here, route manager or whatever. You can go to, all the same general stuff you'd have over here on the left.
So what exactly is wrong with this?
This is Photoshop.
Oh, I see. Okay, so you're trying to figure out how to build this in Unity.
Yeah.
Okay. You're trying to tell me that you can't build any sort of UI element that you can customize, color, size, nothing like that in Unity?
I'm just not fluent. I can't whip it together as fast as I can like JavaScript.
Okay, it's because you haven't done it before.
No, I know, but that's what's caused me to just like quit. Because the thing is, with JavaScript, I can just sit here and do like I'm doing with our thing here, and like I can do a little bit in Photoshop and get a rough idea. Then I can come in here and I can like move things around and try stuff and all that. With
If you're
Unity,
showing me something other than Power, or
no, I'm not.
okay,
I can just, you know, twiddle around with stuff. Like I can sit here like this is Photoshop. Like I designed the thing, right? I kind of came up with this concept of how I wanted it to be, and then built it in Photoshop, and then or in JavaScript, and I can sit here and kind of play with it, figure out what worked, what didn't, and all that.
no.
But the issue is I didn't have an idea like this, or for like what I wanted. All I have is ideas of what I want the game to do and have, and like the features.
Yeah.
But I can't think of a way out to visually put it together, and that's where I've been kind of stuck, because I kind of built this, I liked this, and then, you know, kind of stopped there. You see, like, there's so many other
Do you
things.
have to code in C within?
C sharp.
Yeah. Do you have to code with that in
Yes.
Unity? It has to be sharp.
Yeah.
You can't like run a task on top of sharp.
No, not that I'm aware of. I don't know why you would. Unity is like it interacts with C sharp, so.
Okay, well wait a minute. Hold on. Building.
I say there's all these things I want to be able to add, like I want to add in like so much detail. Like for example, the training department down here, right? Like you can like I want to have it where you have to actually like train your pilots and
Wait. Is C sharp just .NET?
what? I don't know. I don't know.
Is the window creation just .NET?
I don't know.
Um,
It looks a lot like C. It looks a lot like C++. It looks a lot like JavaScript. They're all like the same syntax, roughly.
because I mean it's been a while, so I'd probably have to. But like I built an application in .NET that I used like our entire company or our entire work like
Look
group
up some
used.
C# code. Tell me if that looks familiar.
Well, I looked up like building a UI element in C sharp, and it said something about .NET framework.
Well, no, that's how you. .NET's how you communicate with Windows.
Oh yeah, because I guess this wouldn't be using VB, right?
No.
Okay,
Um.
so then I'm not. Yeah, I created that with VB.NET.
But I want to have this where I think we have the computing power with everything. I want every flight actually simulated.
Yeah.
So
What do you mean by simulate? How about that?
so
Let's
in
start there.
OpenTTD.
Okay, but you're not gonna have a physical item moving across the screen, right? It'll just be a line on a map, like an icon moving on a map.
Yeah, just an icon move. Yeah, not doing like 3D geometry. Like it's not like the flights like they could stall the plane. Like I just mean like each flight actually like when you see this little clock move, like there's actually flights in like time blocks flying. And obviously there could be like a whole auto scheduler and all that. Like you don't have to, you know, micromanage that if you don't want to or something. But I want you actually like moving people and like the flights happening because I want the flights to actually be quote unquote like simulated. So like I want to figure out a way to actually have like planes crash, for example. So like if your training department is trash, you're not putting money in your training department. You haven't upgraded your sims since the 80s and it's like 2010. You know, like the odds of a crash go up, and that hurts your reputation and could tank your airline, kind of thing.
Okay.
That's probably the main function of having that. Also, just the fact that like I actually want you moving passengers like A to B. So like you actually take. I mean, it wouldn't be like you wouldn't actually simulate 300 people, but like.
Well, when you say simulate, you don't mean like an individual, like you could.
Yeah, not necessarily like an individual. Because you get to a point where you're trying to simulate millions of items, trying to traverse a network, and then that's not going to be able to run in real time. Like, yeah, I would love to like every passenger that's in London has their own agenda and wants to go London to Dallas to Los Angeles, or wants to go to Los Angeles so they go London to Dallas or something. I'd love to have that level of detail. That'd be amazing, but I'm just gonna have to like approximate it, like, to some degree. Then one thing I have no idea how I'd even work out would be like I want to add in all the little like the details that you have to think about in the real world, like diversions, right? Like if they're flying to Florida and all of a sudden a fucking hurricane comes through or some shit and they have to divert and they can't go to Florida.
Yeah.
Like you got to have an airplane ready to go somewhere else. So you have to have almost like a little bit of a fleet in reserve. And so you have to come
Well,
with
what
like
happens when one of those planes needs to go into maintenance?
Yeah, that to me, you can have unscheduled maintenance, delays, all that stuff.
Even scheduled maintenance, right? Like you have a plane that comes up on its, you know, I know that I understand that commercial planes don't have a 100-hour, okay? But you have a plane that comes up on its 100-hour, right, as it lands in Miami, right? It's supposed to turn around and do a 40-minute turnaround, right, to take that flight back out of Miami to where it came from, right? It can't do that because it's over its 100-hour. If you do that, the FAA is going to kill you, right? So you need to have a plane that's either nearby that you can just delay the flight, or, you know, have a plane on site or something like that, you know, to where you have it. Like you could do a repo, for example. Like, we have a flight in Atlanta. We need to do a repo flight.
Flights, yeah.
Right. So there would be like a whole pop-up that would come up, like it kind of like. So the way you'd have to handle that is it would still be dynamic, obviously, but you wouldn't be able to do it like a background process. It would have to be an alert, like an event, right? A random event almost. Because if you do it as just a background process, then I don't know how well that would be handled. You'd have to do it as an event, which would be kind of gamey, right? But I think this is the way you'd have to handle it, right?
Well, but then like the idea is you'd eventually just be able to hire staff that would handle these things for you.
Okay.
So like my idea is this starts like as early as you want, but
I think you have to set a limit. 1950 is a good limit. Post World War II. That's right as the DC-4 and DC-6 are popular. You have the Boeing 377. You have the Connie. You have the conveyors. Like, this is the perfect time to start, right?
So, still, like the idea is you start early, and when you first start, you're only going to have a handful of planes, right? And so you're going to have to manage it all yourself. You're going to have to kind of like set the destinations and, you know, maybe try to move planes around or something. I don't know how that would exactly work. But then, you know, the airline gets big enough, you can afford to hire, like you have to do like, I don't know, it'd be like a tech tree of some kind or something. And now, okay, you can hire a scheduler. So now the scheduler is able to, you know, handle things like reroutes. It's even able to open up new routes if you want. Whenever new planes show up, so you don't have to sit there and min-max stuff. If, like, you know, later on, you can just kind of tell them, like, hey, I want to open up these destinations in this order, and once a new plane comes available, they'll open up that destination.
How about this? Are you going to bed right now?
No, I'll play out for another couple hours. Hour and a half, maybe.
Let's build a game design document.
I'm very focused. I'm making a lot of progress on the app right now.
Okay.
So
Set a time next week. We're gonna build a game design document for that.
I'll be here all of tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So.
And the idea of the game design document is you make your idea. You already have your idea, right? You pick an engine that fits your idea. You've already picked Unity, so that's fine. Okay. Obviously, there's a language that goes with the engine. You already have that, C#, right? So now the next idea is going to be basically you need to build a fundamental system, right? And an idea behind that fundamental system that will work and is a gameplay loop, right? You kind of have that already, but you know, you want to flesh it out to where it's 100%. Make sure that there's not going to be any weird, like, things with it, right? And then make a list of the features that you think are critical before you release the game, right? And then you make a list of the things that you think would be nice to have, right? And then you start prioritizing one or the other, right? You start prioritizing stuff, or you come across something and you're like, hey, well, I think I can make that quickly.
Whatever that sticky note app website is, I forget what it is. They started charging for it though, because of course they did.
Who?
I forget. I used to use it a lot when I would code. There was like a thing where you could build, like, it was for like almost like project management. It was like little sticky note kind of like panels you could slide around.
I mean, hold on.
But I forget what it was. Trello.
Oh, fucking Trello, man. Fuck Trello.
Yeah, no, it was so good, dude. It was a fun little website that you could use to, like, organize your boards, and you could put stuff on there, and, like, you could have, like, versions of the game you want to have, and then, like, you could move blocks around as you needed, and then they started, like, charging for it. Like, that's what I mean, like, of course they did.
Dude, I fucking hate Trello. We set that up at work, and it was such a fucking mess. What about, like... You ever heard of Confluence?
No.
Confluence is apparently free. That's through Atlassian. Jira. Hubstaff. prioritization and road mapping tool. Great. Oh, it's a fucking Atlassian product again. Yeah. Take a look at this.
I'll look at it probably tomorrow or something.
Wait, you see my screen?
I needed a monitor.
This part here is very Jira, right? That's the Jira ticket system. But like, I have to reload the page to get the whole preview again. Like, take a look at this. So you, like, alright, so we want to add dark, right? So you can set what you think it's going to be, impact-wise, insight, blah, 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 your impact score, all that, right? But then once you've done that, you can add comments if you want, blah, blah, blah. There's a board here where you can move it around based on certain levels. It'll put it into different categories for your roadmap tool, and then it has a ticket system within it. And if I remember correctly, Jira links to GitHub as well.
Okay.
Jira used to be free. I think it is still free. We use Jira at work, although we use it for like straight project management, not product management, right? So we just use their like board system for like tickets and such. So kind of like this roadmap thing that they call it here, although it's not called roadmap. I think with the power of our autism, we could possibly make something. The only problem that we're gonna have is ADHD. And that's not even a joke. Because I know this is the problem that happens with me all the time. There's a reason why we have a quarter completed website. Is because I started working on it, had a big drive to work on it, right? Got doing a whole bunch of stuff, got pulled away from it, and then I can't pick it back up anymore. So. Kind of like what you know, the God Emperor Thor says. If you want to make something, or if you want to play something and nobody has made it, then make it yourself. Or the other thing he says is just start making stuff.
That's kind of what I did here. Like with this thing, I just sort of started building little bits, and now I've got this working app. I mean, you see, I've been working on this thing like almost nonstop 2 weeks, and I still don't have anything. albeit, you know, I probably would be done by now if I had done my planning better. This is always my problem, is I'm not good at planning. And so my projects take like twice as long because I just kind of get like 10 steps in and then realize I want to go backwards.
Okay, here's the thing you might try. Alright, hear me out. I understand exactly what you're gonna say when I say this. Because I'm the same way, but trust me, when it comes to this, you have to follow this rule. If you get to a point and you're like, hey, I want to do something, don't stop. Complete the thing you were doing. Write down the thing you want to do or fix, and come back to it. Because if you just stop completely and go back to the new thing, or worse, you see that it might take too much work to do the new thing and just completely stop, you never did anything. Versus if you just write it down and are like, hey, I'd like to come back to this in the future, right? You finish the thing that you're working on, even if it isn't perfect, right? You have a finished item now, and then you can try to go back and do what you wanted to do originally with the item you have completed. And I understand that you're gonna be like, okay, well, what happens if it's like a complete rebuild? Guess what? Sometimes you're gonna have to settle for something that's not perfect. Because if you chase perfection, you're never gonna finish it. And that's not just some like white guy like philosophy, you know, fucking whatever the fuck his name is there, quote, right? That's a legitimate thing. That's every programming video I've ever watched, every programming tutorial I've ever watched, is if you chase perfection, you finish nothing. Straight up. And I don't say that to say like, oh, half-ass shit. I'm not saying that. That's not what I mean. Don't try to like speed through something because like, oh, I gotta get to the better thing, right? That doesn't solve it either. But perfection is your worst enemy. And you're always going to think of something you could do better. And that's why I bring you to one of the more popular games. I'd say is probably pretty popular. Let's see what it's on Steam to be. I spelled it wrong. See this game right here?
Yes.
So this game, alright? The entire game is built with if statements. It sold 5 million copies. It's not a joke. They broke the code open. The entire game is built with if statements. Okay? It's not about building the perfect product, it's about building a product. Because if you build something that you love, people will buy it. If you build it, they will come. That's legitimate, by the way. Legit. I'm not even making that up. The whole game is just if statements. And it's sold 5 million copies.
Pretty
It's a
crazy.
really good game. It's not my kind of game, because it's kind of like a psychological horror kind of game. Not really my game, but people fucking love it. You ready to go to the next day?
Been ready to go to the next day for like 4 hours, my guy.
Well, I'm sorry. We've been doing other things here on the Mac.
brought in. Oh, okay. Interesting. Very interesting.
Oh shit, we spent $14,000 on fucking supplies.
So those cars, Cordell, are gone.
What do you mean?
They're not at the interchange.
Yeah, I told you that. They won't show back up until tomorrow.
I know. I just figured they would like take the they would sit there or something. I didn't think that
Nope.
they would actually like take them and they would be gone, kind of thing.
Yeah, think about it like how we run our industries, right? It's the same situation, right? So for example, the coal company, right? The Carolina Coal and Power, or whatever, right? They came, right? The Class 8 came and took our cars. They brought it to their exchange yard. Then their exchange yard put it on a local. They brought it over to the Carolina Coal, right? It's now sat there, fills up, and then they bring it back to their exchange, right? They shunt their cars and everything, put it in they make a load for us, and then they bring it back to our exchange tomorrow. Now, obviously, we can kind of try and make that go faster. By midday, if we need something done, we can have them service an exchange in the middle of the day. But it still takes 24 hours from when they took the car to when we get it back. If you could, before you do something there, make Andrews its own train.
Let me send you the diesel that's been sitting here too.
Diesel?
Cross map. The cross map.
Oh, that's fine. He's no rush.
Make Andrews its own train?
Yeah, make Andrews its own cut. Because it's just going to be a train that goes straight to Andrews. You'll have him show up in a little bit.
What about... Do you want Nant like with a different train?
Yeah, put Nant on the Andrews train.
Put Nant on the Andrews train. You're just making my life wonderfully difficult. Okay.
Think about it like this. So, Nant and Andrews go out of the same yard, right? Bryson, all of its stuff goes out of the Bryson yard. So that's going to be, you know, the coal mine, Alarka, Bryson, right? I mean, I guess if you want, you could put, if you just make it to where the Andrews stuff is on front, that works as well.
About half the cars wrecked on the start of the F2 race.
Love it.
Say request.
Is that voices I heard?
Say again.
Ah, I did hear voices. Hello.
Say approach request.
Approach request.
Excellent. Is just no one here? Is this a conversation about how no one's here?
Sure.
Atlanta is still hopping on VATSIM. They ran some event. What's this Cordell looking? Cordell's looking at airline empires, but it also looks like he's. Isn't this a game? But it's also looks like it's a forum.
Yes.
Web-based game.
Yes. One of the worst. So every time I say that I want to make a game, it's I want to take this game and take it offline, because this game it's fun. Like, you get to build little routes and stuff, but it is like it's online only, and it's like tied to like just like a 20-minute a day server or something like that. So every 20 minutes the day ticks over, so it's just tied to like server, just kick stuff over.
A tick-based game, yeah.
And
I played one a long time ago, yeah.
And basically it's like it's kind of overrun by like it's fun to play, but then it's overrun by like
People have already
Asians.
dominated it. Oh, okay.
Asians that are like min-maxing it, and then other people that just seem to have no life. Because it's obviously like right, like it ticks over. It's like you can't like, you know, I have to go to bed and work and life and all this stuff, right? So it's like you start playing it, you know, and like let's say I started playing it like last night, right? I'd have today. I'm not doing much today. I could kind of like check in on it, you know, oh, new airplane delivered, make a route, great. But then it's like, all right, I can't come back to it for a couple of days. Well, I come back to it, and someone has gone to all of my routes. They've opened their own routes, and it'll usually be someone that's like, you know, someone like super sweaty that they have like a fleet of like 1,200 planes, and they sit there, and because they have such a big airline, they can just like cut your price in half. No one flies on your airline, and you just basically show up to a bankrupted airline.
Nice.
Because you're not always on it. So
Bro, what are you even doing? Come on.
yeah, right?
Get on your shit. Get good.
Not being sweaty.
You gotta be paying someone in China while you're sleeping to run your airline for you. I thought there was what was the thing that like wasn't Ken doing, like my pilot life or something like that?
Oh yeah, there's something for Flight Sim that's
Some kind of offline pilot career game.
yeah,
The Flight Sim.
yeah, something like that. I forget exactly how it does what it
I don't know.
does.
I found that simbitworld.com, A Pilot's Life. I don't know if this is actually it, but this is like it is an offline app. You buy it online, like everything, of course. You buy it on the internet, but though it does look like it's probably like a Electron app. So, you know, everything's Electron app, of course.
Yeah, everything nowadays.
Let me just say, it really
Electronic.
looks like an Electron app, and it really looks like it's kind of a website in a frame. Not as bad as this PHPB clone we have over here. copied its UI from 2002 that Cordell's looking at, but it's currently on my left screen. Now I'm gonna turn off because nothing's happening there. Yeah, I looked at this a little bit. 30 euros. It's like, I don't know. Just go back to FS economy, I guess, which is what I've done, flying my plane across the country right now. It's a little more self-directed, I guess, than like a computer game telling you, you must now do one of these things. Oh, we don't have any fuel here. That's a problem. I mean, I really only need 2 hours of endurance. Spirit of St. Louis Airport in the District of Freedom. America. No, I'm not kidding. stop. Where are we going? You can stop now. Where? Where are we going, buddy? That was pushing me all the way to Illinois.
Anybody home?
Nope.
No.
Oh. Alright, what day is it? Did we get our planes yet? Oh, we're in the hole. That's not good. Does that mean we got our plane? Nope, we didn't get a plane. Why are we not making any money now? Let me guess, did Dick Hulk undercut our routes? No. So why are we negative money?
Rotate.
Oh, that might be why.
Gear up. 100.
3.1.
120 flaps.
Oh, that might be a problem.
Above. Begin turn. Yaw damper.
Oh boy. Let me know when you need a train.
About 5 minutes ago.
Okay.
Wow, I was so laggy tonight.
Laggy lag.
Okay, we can actually start climbing. We're not going very far. This is a VFR flight.
Alright, do you have, one train or two train?
Well, I'll need two if you want to leave them separate.
Go 10-4-5 though.
Because by the time you get the first train down here, the second one will be built.
How heavy is the one that's already built, do you know?
No clue, couldn't tell you. Didn't look.
Do you think it's gonna be heavier, or is the other one gonna be heavier?
The first one's probably gonna be heavier.
Roger.
Roger, roger.
I think the second one are mainly empties. It's most of the coal cars, basically.
Yeah, that's fine. Oh my god. Take one moment, stop your train, go listen to the fucking K-35. Trust me, it's worth it.
Which one is that?
That's the 20.
The
Or sorry, not the K-35. Just go listen to the 20 though.
20. Where's the 20?
He's leaving Bryson right now. slow him down slight. I'll slow him down slightly. Right? Hold on. And then listen when he kicks back up.
Fucking chugging like a motherfucker.
The 35 is gonna be worse. Just give it a minute. He's following him, so. Because the 35 has smaller drivers.
Jesus.
Keep in mind, he's only doing 20 mile an hour right now. Just give him a second to get onto a line here. That's 35.
Fucking Gatlin gun at Chuffs.
Oh my god. Look at how fast. Like, it's because of how fast the mechanism is moving. Look at that shit. I really hope that they add a thing where, like, for example, the K35, because of the driver size, right? It can only do like 30 miles an hour, for example. But obviously, it's a really good yard train. Or like a short line train because it's got a lot of power. But it wouldn't be good for running on the main because those drivers are tiny.
I already turned the train inhibitor on. Shut up.
Nope.
Terrain. Pull up.
Negative.
Fly up to the aircraft.
We have another damn bridge here. Look at that damn bridge.
It's a damn bridge.
was out. Poor baby.
What happened?
I don't know. I just looked at.
What
I've
you?
been doing it. I've been doing other shit, and I just looked and saw that he was out of the race.
That sucks. What? What is your problem?
Cordell.
Yep.
Do you know where the rudder trim control is in this lane physically?
Oh shit. You're not gonna like my answer. No. Mainly because of the fact that normally when I fly that thing, I just use the thing on my joystick to be able to do it.
Yeah. I have that bound to aileron trim, which admittedly I do not use very often.
Yeah.
I could probably bind something to it though. In fact, I may already have something bound to it and I just don't even realize it. That's actual rudder, which I do not really need anymore. Yeah, I could bind this hat over here to it maybe.
Alright, so the light train is 550.
Okay.
And the heavy train is 1321.
The 20 will go on the heavy.
The heavy is the train going to Andrews.
That's fine.
Received $3 for one fare.
Oh, only one?
Oh, I have it bound just over here. Okay. These buttons, I see. Let me just do this. Flight grief. Well, shit.
What happened?
I was trying to get fancy with getting cars set up, and I let the one consist roll a little too far, so now I gotta fucking back this trade up to push it back so the 20 can get at it.
It happens.
I don't seem to have any trouble steering this thing in the flight idle. Cordell.
Yeah.
Aside from the frame rate lockups, which are super great, I don't know why I'm getting those.
Are you using differential braking to turn the plane?
No. Sometimes, but no.
I literally cannot make the thing turn on the ground unless I constantly tap the brakes.
No, it's flight idle. It's fine. I don't know. '80, '90, rotate. You're up. Pops up.
Alright, 20 is in the block.
Yeah.
was that library I sent you that had all the different like buttons and cool things you could do.
Yeah.
I added a couple things because I found there were some extra things I could do with like the input fields.
Okay.
So that's this first thing here. I don't have it working yet because I haven't figured out how to handle the data yet, or at least how I want to. But I'm gonna implement it to where basically I can convert this field to where instead of like a single entry field, it's a multi-entry field.
Okay.
So it'll only be this field. So what you could do is you could come in here, Denver, and then just for now,
Yep.
you can just do it's on single add, and that's the only option you have.
Yep.
But what it'll let you do is you could just sit here now, just start typing. So you'd hit enter.
Yep.
And start typing another one, and it just keeps adding little blocks into the thing. I did some formatting on this, and so I think I broke their API. So I need to go back and fix that. But you could just sit here, and then you could multi-add destinations just by typing in the iCals. Now, when that happens, it's not going to give you the nice little distance or any of the stats, so all this stuff will disappear, and it's just going to turn into a text box.
Okay.
That's, I guess, more like advanced mode. But if you know the iCals, it'll still do the auto-populate things, so you can still click on them, and like make sure you're actually putting in the right iCal.
Yep.
But it will let you put in multiple. So I would foresee that being more useful when you're trying to build like the little like boutique lines out of like Bradley or something. You can just put in BDL on the left and then just type in all the little things you want. Or the issue is because of the way this worked with the way the data's going, it's letting you select objects. So just pasting in plain text, I don't know if that's going to work. So I don't know if you'll be able to paste in your list of airports. I haven't tried that. It might just work if it's separated by commas. I don't know.
Okay.
I believe it's. I was reading something about that in their user guide, that there's a way to do that with commas. I just gotta look into it more. You'll also be able to set these. See, this is obviously a toggle which you already saw.
Yeah.
But you'll be able to turn this off. Just do like a one-way if you want. And then you can sit here and obviously I finally got all this working again. You do all this. So the only thing I have left to figure out, and I only just started trying to think about how I'm going to do this. Essentially, I'm changing the data structure. So instead of, well, here, hang on. Instead of this being the data that I was saving, so instead of just saving an iCal, a string of other iCals it's connected to, and then the operation scales.
Yep.
I'm now saving route pairs. So it'll have an ident. Not sure what I want this field to be yet. Departure arrival pair. So the departure is always just going to be that left one. Whether or not it's round trip, the operation scales, and I'm going to save persistent flight numbers. That's the other thing I wanted to add. I know I was thinking of something else. So what you're going to be able to do is you go on here and you add in refresh, but you add in Charlotte to Denver, right? It's gonna save one of these in here, so whatever. I don't even. This might have been something I had left over because I haven't done anything with the data side of this yet. So, but it'll save like Denver, Charlotte, true, and then it's gonna assign the flight numbers. So it's gonna generate 2 flight numbers that are in sequence. So like just back to back flight numbers, and then is active. So once you've created it, that route will always have those flight numbers, even if you shut down like the Charlotte to Denver route, right? And then 6 months later you open it back up, or you change a bunch of things around and you do whatever. As long as these 2 things here are the same, and it will recognize if you try to do like Charlotte Denver, Denver Charlotte, it won't let you do that. As long as these 2 are the same, it will retain those flight numbers. So if you have like Grizzly Flight 1, like Denver to London, right? It will always be Grizzly Flight 1, Denver to London. Even if we shut it down or don't even have planes for it yet, it will always be there. Things I'm gonna add. So, real quick before I get into what my issue is, I'm gonna add a field in here, ideally, that will tell you somewhere the expected flight number.
Okay.
I'm thinking maybe somewhere here, kind of like the to and the from thing, or maybe just on top of these like boxes here. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I would like to have them auto-generate at like this point, but then you can customize if you want. So you can like have it just be, it'll be like an auto-populated like text field or something that'll just like you pull up Charlotte to Myrtle Beach and it's like Grizzly Flight 1122 and you're like, okay, I don't like that number for whatever reason, so you change it. And it'll let you know if there's a conflict. The issue that I'm trying to solve, because I'm not that good at databases, is that I'm gonna have to probably store all of those flight numbers like that are used, so I don't use it again. And I feel like just a single like database entry that was just like an array of all the flight numbers would work in theory. But I haven't thought about it enough to know if there's something wrong with that.
If it's easier for you to start with, you don't have to worry about flight numbers. I can do that on the spreadsheet once I have it. Because, like, honestly, like I explained before, the biggest, slowest thing with adding any route is putting the planes in there, having the knowledge of, like, how far a plane can go and all that stuff like that, researching that, right? Which is what this is already doing, right? So, that part there, and then the other thing that takes forever is just the fact that you have to go through their GUI to be able to create these, or if you want to create them in a spreadsheet, I have to know all of the ICAO or the FSA codes and then the ICAO codes for the planes, and then match it up what you're already doing. So if flight numbers is something that you want to work on, like you could work on that after. If you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm not gonna feel like this is feature complete until the flight numbers thing is working. Like I feel like that's the
understand.
integral part. So.
But I'm saying right now, like if you want to make the thing work, right, and then after getting all that done, work on the flight numbers, you can. Because the flight numbers are not they're not like a.
The issue is
a blocker.
It's something I need to know what I'm doing though, because I need to know how to build my data schemas now.
Okay.
So I'm trying to think how I want to do that. something and then having a duplicate.
So data verification.
Yeah, but like on the back end, I'm imagining a scenario where you're sitting here pumping out routes. You do like 2 or 3 really quickly. You send them off to the database, and it doesn't have time to recognize what's happened.
That's where you'd have to put a blocker in place in the application to stop you from being able to write to the database before X amount of time or something like that. Like
Well, I guess
a data
well,
validation system.
what I can do is I can let's see. I can pull the flight numbers, like
Yeah.
because well actually all I really need is like I just need the 4 values, because I just need what the current flight number, like the current next flight numbers are. Right? I don't
Yeah.
need the whole list of flight numbers that have been used necessarily. I guess I kind of do if you're going to be able to do custom ones.
Yeah.
So, but it's just pulling text. It's not going to be like that long of a pull. Like this database is really responsive. So, what I do is I pull the data, and I get all the flight numbers, and I save that locally. And then what I do is, whenever you add a flight, I add that to my local first. So like I change like the local variable that I pulled in and saved it to, and then I send off the data to the database.
Okay.
Ask for it back once it's verified. It's in the database, and then once I pull it back in and do like a refresh on it, I check the values I have versus the values in the database, and as long as they match up, I just overwrite it.
Oh dear God.
What?
I'm
If you
sorry.
have-
What?
If you have any
What did you say?
suggestions, if you have any suggestions,
What is
JD,
this?
please.
What database are you using?
Mongo.
That's not a database. That's a document store.
What? I don't. What?
Have you considered using a database?
Just shot him in the foot like that.
It's easier just to
Oh.
send JSON objects around the world. I don't care.
Yeah, but the problems you're having are solved by actual databases. Let's see. Database manual. Can Mongo do anything useful? Hold on. Probably not.
There's a lot of like things, words.
Thing words and stuff.
There's a lot of functions built into Mongo that I probably can use. I just haven't read the docs enough to know what all's in there beyond just like, pushing, getting, and updating. I just don't know the best way to actually like store this data.
Probably on a hard drive somewhere.
Yeah.
So, how many flight numbers are you going to have per route?
10 is in the box.
Probably it should be, I guess,
it
Between-
2 or 4?
Between 2 and 6, because I guess the boutique routes will also have their own. Because if it includes cargo, it'll also have a cargo route associated with it, right?
And if you're gonna, how are you going to know?
Or I guess I could just create
Well-
two. No, I'll just create 2 separate routes if I do that. If it's gonna be cargo, I'll just create 2 separate entities. Because it's gonna have to be like that in the
Is-
CSV anyway. So I guess each one will contain 2 flight numbers, but I just need to be able to check that I'm not overwriting a flight number that's already been used. So I just need to know I just need to know all the flight numbers that have been used, and then be able to look at like, all right, what are the next 2 available, and assign those to this.
Well, so I'm either suggesting either a different layout of the data, or because I think in relational database terms, because that's what I've done for 25 years.
Sure.
But the thing I'm looking up in Mongo is like, is there a way to have a unique index of some kind that would enforce
each of these documents has its own unique ID, I believe.
That's not what I mean. Let me see. Fucking Mongo, man. Had to use Mongo. Is there a search? Search. Let's type in the word unique. See what happens here. Unique index. Because the easiest way to solve this problem in general is to not store the flight numbers as an array. Effectively, if you duplicate this record in some way, it could be you store the flight number separately. That's what we would do in relational land, in a separate table. Then you could have a unique constraint on the flight numbers, and you can also query then the flight numbers and say, hey, what's the current maximum flight number? Or if Cordell's gonna monkey with stuff because of custom things, yeah, that gets a little trickier to figure out like what's the first available flight number. What's a way to do that? I don't know. That's kind of an odd problem. But it doesn't really matter because you're not using. If I came up with a SQL statement that you could use to do that, it wouldn't matter because you're not using SQL. So, yeah, it looks like Mongo has unique constraints, but the unique constraints would only ensure that any particular value is unique. So in this case, it would mean that effectively that the entire array is unique, which isn't very helpful.
I'd basically have to store a list of documents that contain a single number.
Just flight numbers, yeah. You'd have to have a separate connection that, to me, it seems like you have to have a separate collection that would just have flight numbers and the IDs of these things. I mean, that's how we would do it in relational terms.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
And then the minimum.
The thing is, this is
You-
Electron. It was nothing short of a miracle that it actually started working with Mongo. And I really
Yeah, I
don't
mean, you
want to
probably
change.
just want to use SQLite.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
that's what I was using for the Discord bot. But
Yeah, I mean, SQLite should get the job done. Yeah, I don't. But yeah, even if you had that table, even if you stored a string version and a numeric version to make like math easier, there's still not a very easy way to say like you could ask for the maximum, but you can't ask like what's the maximum. I mean, I guess unless you put a flag like custom on it, you say like what's the maximum that's not a custom number, but then what if there's a collision? Yeah, it's kind of annoying
yeah.
to have non-sequential ones in there.
All right, Cordell. No custom flag numbers. They're generated by the system. If we remove the,
There has to be
if we
a way to
remove the
do it.
custom,
I mean, obviously you could do it kind of the way you were thinking, which is like, you know, if you logically, if you had all of the data in an array, you could look at it and, you know, iterate through it or something. And when the first time the number goes up by more than one, you know, you could find that. Oh yeah, is that how you would do it? I think it might be a really weird query. I could probably write a SQL query that would do it, but like I said, it's not going to do you any good.
it doesn't really do me any good.
I don't know if, I mean, maybe with that,
the way
you might be able to
I've
sort of
always,
convert that to a Mongo query.
well, like the way that I've really, first of all, we're not really talking about big data here at all. Like the
Yeah, I
query's
know.
gonna take like 0 time at all. It would just be easier and take less digging through doc to just pull the document once it's updated.
Yeah, but there's no one document of, like, you're gonna generate. I guess I don't know. Like, there's not a single document that you're going to be able to.
Yeah, no, I'm literally like I think
You mean pull the whole collection?
pull the whole collection, but I think literally I'm just gonna save it as like the whole collection is gonna be one entry that has an array. Because at most this is gonna be like an array of maybe what, 5 to 10,000 at most. Like because I look like United Airlines flies 5,000 flights a day, so they have 5,000 flight numbers.
Yeah.
And that's probably
Yeah,
on the scale
it's
that
not
we
that
would
big of
have
a
to.
yeah, it's not actually that big of a table or database, but I mean, I mean, it's a single user system, so I mean, yeah, you should be fine. You're not.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's. I think
but
that
yeah, it's
the
kind
only
of.
thing I just want to avoid the issue, like I was saying, of really quick sequential inputs, and then I've got to go into the Mongo thing. I got to go find the last one he put in. I got to go find it, and like I could fix it myself, and like in the database. Like you say, it's just documents. I don't have to like query shit. But it's like I'd rather not have to do that. Although I can, actually what I'm already doing, I can lock down the form until it's submitted. I already do that anyway. So I just have to throttle it. So just lock down the form until it's submitted. It sends it off, it gets its response, says, hey, I got it. Cool. once it gets that response, it asks for the data back, which at that point that just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean the thing
Or,
the thing I
I-
was building, it was basically like the items you're creating here, these items. I just like it was 1-to-1. Like there was an entry for every route, and as far as like creating the reciprocal route, the return route, I just you just create new entry.
Yeah.
That's what I did. But there were no arrays. That was my solution. And then you can query the flight numbers that way. And
I
yeah,
mean,
you could have.
the fact I am gonna have
um,
one-way routes, that would actually make more sense. Maybe just like I just push 2 entries to the database, like one that's Denver to Charlotte with all the operations and scales on it, all that, and then I